Hello everyone, another Yu-Gi-Oh deck profile. It's Chaos Destruction here, this time with my Darklord deck. Post Rise of the Duelist, because there hasn't been actual Darklord support and there was not really much of a reason to update the deck like almost at all, or at least to show an actual deck profile. But with all the new support, this deck has been updated, even though I never made a deck profile on Darklords in my channel. But with all the new support, I now have a reason to. And it took me weeks because I've been waiting for some cards to show up, which they haven't, so been delayed like week by week, but now I got it, so we can begin. So first off, I'm gonna say there's gonna be two types of Dark Lords in the deck: the old style where it's just tributes and all of that, and also the effect absorption Dark Lord, which I'll explain later. But let's start off with the regular Dark Lords. With the main boss monster, Dark Lord, Morningstar, or Lucifer, depending on your reference. So first off, it cannot be special summoned, so keep that in mind. So it's a little restrictive, but it does have a very strong effect, because when you tribute summon this card, you can special summon as many Dark Lord monsters from your deck equal to the number of monsters your opponent controls. Yeah, so your opponent summons a big board, you get your big board, essentially. And because you're summoning from your deck, you're getting your search as well. And there are many cards that you want in your graveyard, so this card can be quite helpful. And yes, I have summoned this at turn 1 before. It also cannot be targeted by card effects, so there's that nice protection. And also at the end phase of your turn, you can mill the top cards of your deck equal to the number of Dark Lords you control and gain 500 life points for each. The life point regaining is actually quite important, because then you are going to be paying life points with your absorption Dark Lords abilities. So that effect will be quite helpful. And also, if you saw the fusion card from the beginning of the video, this card is also needed for that. Next, for one of the old boss monsters, Dark Lord Desires. So, cannot be special summoned, can tribute summon by using one fairy type as one tribute for this tribute summon, and you can give up 1,000 attack points to send one monster your opponent controls to the graveyard. It has its uses, but most of the time I summon this and then I use it for Exceed Summon right after. So, it's just for combo reasons. And it's straight up send, not destroy, so it does stop a lot of those destroy effects. Next, one of your big combo pieces that you should run, 3 Superbia, which, when summoned from the graveyard, you can special summon another Dark Lord from your graveyard, and it's not hard restricted to once per turn based on its own card name. Obviously, you run 3, you could just use Link summon, send this to the graveyard, and then summon this back, and then continue your spam. So obviously you do want to see this as soon as possible, because it does help your combo plays, mainly for your extra deck. And then another old Dark Lord, Serrato, which lets you summon this with 1 tribute if you have 4 or more dark monsters from the graveyard. Lets you discard 1 card to destroy all your opponent's monsters, but destroy it at the end of the turn. Which normally I do use this effect to destroy all your opponent's monsters, and then you could just combo this like with Superbia, and then use this with Exceed Summon right after. But you're not going to summon that like more than once. And then for the new Dark Lords, there's the Indulge Dark Lord and the Conspiracious Dark Lord. So, Indulge Dark Lord is a little weird. So essentially, it's your searcher, but you search for 2 cards, but one of them is special summoned to your opponent's field. So most of the time you want to select one weak Dark Lord, and 1 strong Dark Lord that you want, and have that one in your hand, and the weak Dark Lord goes down your opponent's field. So, but then you're restricted to only using fairy type effects for the rest of the turn. In many occasions, this card, the searching does help, and I was able to do some combos with this. Conspiracious lets you tribute summon right away during the turn it's summoned. So you could like summon this and then do a tribute summon right after, and then your opponent's all your opponent's monsters loses 500 for every dark fairy you control. So since I use Valhalla, that's another reason why I run 2 of each. I use Valhalla, special summon this, add like something like Desire or Zerato. You could like just tribute and then summon this right after. That's one call that you can do. You can do the same thing similar to Conspirious, where you could like special summon this, use this effect to tribute for your Desire, because all it needs is just one tribute if you're using Fairy Monster. So it has its uses. Another thing I sometimes get is I special summon one of these, add a Morning Star, and normal summon this, and then just tribute these two just to summon the Morning Star. So they have their uses. And this is there because tribute summon, of course. And then finally, for the last regular Darklord, Earlback, which lets you Foolish Burial a Darklord card from your deck to the graveyard, which has its uses, but most of the time I barely even use this effect. But it does have its uses. And now for the effect absorption Darklord, I'm going to start off with each sculpt. So what I mean by effect absorption is that they all have an effect that can only be used once during the turn. Each of their effects can only be used once during the turn, where you can pay 1,000 light points and take one Darklord spell and trap from your graveyard, shuffle it to the deck, and use this effect. And yes, you can use that same card that you activate during the turn, because most of them will say you can only activate one copy of those per turn, but this uses the effects, so you can still use their effects. And it also nullifies the costs for your Darklord spells and traps, because a good portion of them will say send one card to the graveyard to activate their effect, but that's all nullified when you use the effect absorption ability. So it's a unique effect is you can discard this card along with another Darklord card and draw 2 cards, which is very helpful because most of your Darklords are going to be big boss monsters, so you're going to need some consistency, and so level 10 as well, which helps you with your extra deck plays. And to continue off with the effect absorption, I play Nurgel. 2, anyway. Some people play 1, I play 2 for the fact that it's level 8, and it's the fact that it's also effect absorption Darklord, so that's another reason. But its unique effect is that it gives your fairy monsters piercing damage, which most of the time you're not going to use that. I use this for the fact that it's level 8 and it has effect absorption. So you can use Superbia and to special summon this, use effect absorption ability to use other effects, and then you get more combos off. So which is why I run 2. I just want to see this as soon as possible, really. Next, another effect absorption, Nastin. So unique effect, send 2 other Darklords from your hand to the graveyard to special summon them from your hand. This is just for purposes to get a monster on the field most of the time. Also, I run a second one just for a rank 7 play, but you could just get away with running 1. But in many occasions, you do want the second one just in case, so you could get it to your hand much faster, and also because most of your Darklords are going to be big, you're going to have a hard time summoning your monsters anyway, and you do want them in your graveyard too, so this kind of helps it a little bit. And then I run the 1 Amdisk, which unique effect, you can discard it along with another card to return 1 Darklord spell trap from your graveyard to your hand, but most of the time I use this as another tribute option, and sometimes it does help, but you don't really need it that much. You could actually just get away not running it. So that's it for the Darklord monsters, but I also run one more monster. The Predator Plant, I can't pronounce his name. So this card, I run this because this is a fusion. This lets you fusion summon by using itself along with another monster from your hand or field, or one monster your opponent controls with a Predator counter, but you're not going to do that. So why I run this? Because this is a Predator Plant, and a good portion of your Darklords are level 8s or higher. You know what that means? you got the condition for Greedy Venom. That's one of the reasons. And of course Greedy Venom is pretty strong too, because especially when you have a bunch of level 8s or higher, so you're going to be bringing Greedy Venom back. So this is just for fusion purposes. And most of the time you're not going to be really locked with using its effect, because most of your Darklords don't really have that effect other than Indulge, so you're not going to be needing to worry about it so much. And now that's it for the monsters. So let's begin with the spells. Darklord Banishment and Darklord Contract. Banishment is your searcher for any Darklord card other than itself. You can only activate one of these per turn, same thing. And for Contact, I have 3, my bad. I got 3 contacts. And for Contact, it lets you special summon 1 Darklord from your graveyard in defense. So obviously you go for Superbia, and then Superbia goes for Nergel, and then Nergel can use its effect absorption on one of these cards, whatever you want, to do combo extension. So, and then I run the 2 Valhalla because you have a bunch of big monsters, so you're going to need a way to special summon them. And also, this card can enable combos, but you don't need to run 3. You do just need to run it just in case, but at most just run 2. 3 might be a little too much. And then because they're all darks, a little darkness, consistency of course with the trade-in. And then I also run the Foolish Burial because you want to send that Superbia to the graveyard, sometimes Nastin, and then a Monster Reborn because Contact might not be enough, so you want some extra Reborn cards. And now, that for the traps, I run the Darklord Uprising, which is your fusion card. So, its cost is send 1 card to the graveyard, but most of the time that cost is going to be gone, because of effect absorption. And then, so you use materials from your hand and field to the graveyard, just fusion summon. And then, you gain life points equal to the fusion material. So that's going to be a lot, considering that majority of your Darklords are big monsters. But most of the time I use this with the effect absorption, and I do run the new fusion monster, so why not? And it's pretty strong. And for the last of my traps, I run Darklord Rebellion, which you can send 1 card and then destroy one of your opponent's monsters. So this card can destroy plays, especially when you could just use effect absorption Darklord to shuffle it back to the deck and just straight up destroy it and not even get the discard. So that's it for the main deck. And now for the extra deck, my only link monster, I run Condemned Darklord. Requires 2 fairy monsters. Your Darklords are all fairies. And its effect is that you can do a tribute summon by banishing 2 monsters from your graveyard for its tribute summon. So, in many occasions, the 2 monsters that you would tribute for Morningstar can be used for a link summon for this, and then you can banish those 2 to summon the Morningstar. But this card can also do searching by discarding 1 card to search for 1 Darklord card from your deck to your hand or send it to the graveyard. So, yeah, you could just search up the Morningstar and then just like banish the 2, summon the Morningstar. So, this card has its uses. Most of the time I only do it for the Morningstar. And speaking of Morningstar, here's the new big fusion version of Morningstar. For some reason it's renamed the first Darklord when it should be Darklord, or Lucifer, the Darklord of Morningstar. So it requires 3 dark fairy monsters. Cannot be targeted by spell. Fairy monsters you control cannot be targeted by spells and traps, so it not just straight up protect itself. But it also has the effect where when you use Morningstar as fusion material, which is why I run it still, you can straight up nuke your opponent's field. Yeah, I know. Especially when you have Morningstar to summon a mass field, you could actually easily do it. And then it also has an additional effect, which is a quick effect, where you can pay 1,000 life points to special summon 1 Darklord from your graveyard. Which, of course, you could go to Superbia and then continue those combo plays, of course. And also, because of the protection, it's going to be really hard to knock out. And also, it's a big, beefy boss monster. And now for the rest of my extra deck, you can really run whatever, but because I run the Fusion Engine, I run the Greedy Venom, the Star Venom, and the Predator Plant I can't pronounce because most of them have very long, weird names. So, and then for Exceeds, I run the Spider Engine along with the 2 train cards. This card just overlays itself on top of this, so they have their uses. And then for the last of my Exceeds, I run the Prime Photon just for some beatdown if 4,000 is really not enough. The Cypher Dragon, the number 38, the Durjinsu, and then for rank 7, I run the Mecha Phantom Beast Draco Sack just because I have the option. But if you don't want to run some of these, you can always just run more Link monsters, whatever you want. You're pretty much free on extra deck space other than like 2 very specific cards. And if you run a Fusion Engine, you could run the Star Venom, Greedy Venom, do whatever you want. Alright, so that's my Darklord deck profile. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I know it's been a while since I did another Yu-Gi-Oh deck profile, but I don't have too many updates on my old decks. But this one got a recent update, so I have an excuse to make another video. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. And the next one will most likely be Raidraptors because we got Phantom Rage coming up with new Raidraptors support. So that will most likely be the next deck profile. But other than that, have a nice day.